If I want some
For sure, yeah.
right? And that level of trust that I provided, and I would hope that would be provided to me,
Yeah.
goes beyond like sharing location. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to have an ankle monitor on.
Yeah, because you need to bust a move with the location. Like, fellas, you gotta, okay, fellas, y'all be getting your girl location, and then she switches to the iPad when she gonna bust a move with Darius and get you got, like, if she in the same location for 8 hours, somebody in Atlanta had in the scat pack taking them out though. Because I've been out sleep all day. I had a long day at the spa and I came home tired. I bet.
Yeah.
I bet, my boy.
I don't believe in that. But shout out to everybody that's in the location. I just personally feel like you need some independence as a person. As a man specifically, like, you need some level of independence, and I just feel like that might hamper on my independence. I can see that. That's just my thoughts.
Yeah.
But I respect it.
Yeah.
Shout out to everybody.
Fellas, as a man, you can't request it though. They gotta give it to you. So that's how you know you do it. You know what I mean? They just.
Okay. Let's talk about Palantir launching its own version of college. So
Wow.
this is interesting. They put on Twitter. They said, skip the debt, skip the indoctrination. Get a Palantir degree. Admissions are based on a flawed criteria. They pretty much went through the whole process of why college is broken. And they say get a Palantir degree and you can actually apply. They put a website up where you can actually apply for a job. I guess it's an internship.
Yep.
And then from the internship, then I guess you probably can work your way up the company. So it's a pathway to work at Palantir with no college degree, just a Palantir degree. Is this the way of the future?
It could be. One of the biggest lessons that I've used and learned is that you need to be the angel in the midst of decay. structure. So when
Yes, sir.
the
Jesus,
market
what's
was
the
falling
word?
apart, and then we launched the show,
Jada,
like
what
the
up?
timing was
What's the word
perfect
with
for it.
y'all? I'm about to get to it.
The emergence of
About to
Bitcoin
get
came
to
out
it.
of the great financial crisis that we had in 2007, 2008. There needed to be a way to have safety and a flight of risk that was on the table at the time. So the thing that, because this is Peter Thiel's fellowship model,
Let me
which
zoom in.
he's ambassador and investor for JD Vance. I wonder how
That's
quickly
not a
this model will
question
be
for me,
adopted
my
amongst
dog.
Palantir, Tesla,
I don't even remember. Not even gonna lie.
a few other companies of that
A couple
ilk,
thousand easily though.
as an
A
alternative.
couple
Now,
bands.
the pros of this is you get direct access to companies, you get to go to college at a cheaper cost, you get direct experience. It's playing off the decay of the job market model and acceptance into college, which is a great idea. The bad part is if this is used in a nefarious way, it can go wrong for a lot of reasons. And given over the last few years, we've seen how easy it is to sway political opinion in the political landscape. If the right two companies, if they do like a MAGA 4, and they get a bunch of people to adopt this model at time and it works, it could spell a lot of trouble.
Damn, you only gave me one pineapple. It's crazy.
Interestingly, the timing of the launch while the job market is in flux, which is easy that they do this.
Is it
I think it's
Stacy?
definitely gonna make a lot of sense as far as it's done correctly. It's like a trade school almost, right?
Mhm.
Like if you, I always say, like, you know, the way the college is set up, if you want to become an engineer, right, you gotta go to school for 4 years. You don't probably don't need 4 years to learn engineering,
No.
right? You could probably learn this in 8 months if you go through intense training, or at the most probably a year and a half, right?
2 years, yeah.
And then like on the job thing, so but you have to take math, you have to take history, you have to take all these other things, right? And
Making juice, gang. That's what I'm doing.
the model of college is definitely working. It's even for us, right? This is why people tap into us because they want
For
to
sure.
learn about one particular thing. I want to learn about real estate.
It's like an apprenticeship. Yep.
Home buyers group, if you're on university, if you're through A to Z, you'll know what you need to know to buy a home in 36 hours. Like, you know what I mean? Or I want to go to stocks, I want to credit. Like, you don't have to go to 4 years of your life to learn about one particular thing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this makes a lot of sense for companies, especially technology companies, for sure. I think this makes a lot of sense. I'm interested to see how it's going to play out. But I'm a fan of this idea.
Regardless of what company does it.
Regardless of what company.
Making juice right now, so new trash.
Where you
Meanwhile, ICE signs a $30 million contract with Palantir to build immigration OS for surveillance and enforcement operations on their decade-long collaboration.
Wait a minute.
That's news. That's not my opinion.
No, wait a minute though. Just wait a bit. Are you saying, when you saying regardless of what company does it?
I'm asking regardless of which company deploys this idea. It's just an intellectual exercise.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
Okay.
You're saying companies that we don't morally agree with?
Yes.
Well, there's almost all companies have moral
Hazards, for sure.
hazards.
Apple included.
For sure.
Yeah. It's just an intellectual exercise.
That's what I thought so. Yeah, if I'm on here and you see me in the
Tesla,
kitchen, just know I'm getting to it. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Yeah.
But if Tesla
Damn, I didn't
implements
even
this,
start. You went from 6 people to 2 people. That's not good.
Harvard, I don't know what y'all going down the entry. And then the liquid assets, but you better fix what you got going on real fast.
oh, it's true. If put it like this, if 20% of private companies implement this, if 20% of
Fortune 500,
colleges would be dead overnight.
that's over with.
Overnight, they'd be dead. At least a 50% drop in enrollment.
And the non-power, 25 schools? We have the same kind of collapse that we did with small banks.
Because essentially they can do the same pathway that Harvard is doing. For instance,
faster.
Morgan Stanley can implement a fast track to become leadership, analyst, whatever, right? And they can be selective. They don't have to, like, you still got to upload. So the same process that you have to do to get accepted to Harvard, right? You got to be an A student. You got to do community service. You got to have all this stuff. What if Morgan Stanley had that same exact checklist that said, instead of going to Harvard, come work for us and you'll get paid $100,000 on day one. And you'll learn real world training, because we're gonna put you with people, we're gonna put you in the fire pit right away. You're gonna be learning, we're gonna have a system, but you have to, now you sign a 10-year contract to work for Morgan Stanley upon graduation.
Remember when we had the conversation on Blackout about investing in people, I'm sure there will be some loyalty overrides for a 15 or 20 year period in doing this.
But now they can get the top talent straight out of high school, as opposed to waiting, trying to get the top talent 4 years later, and now everybody's trying to get, you know.
Yep. Intellectually though, I do like it because this is like intellectual AAU system for the nation, which I do like.
AAU system is mad fun.
But yeah, Microsoft or Nvidia copies this idea. Even Apple or Google. Google, I think, probably on a Democratic side or non-conservative side, probably would adopt this first. It can have a tremendous impact.
Cause it's like right now, right? You got top athletes that get NIL deals or get, you know, they get scholarships, or we get, you know, top academic students that get accepted to Ivy League school. What if that third class would be like, okay, now NVIDIA, now you're just like you're training to go to the league. You're training your whole high school career is geared towards getting an acceptance letter at 18 to now you've been accepted in NVIDIA.
To work at the mothership. Yep. It's a great idea. It is a great idea. And colleges need to reform. So I don't know if there's been adjustments, but I don't think fast enough because the world is changing so fast. But yeah, a lot of those models have to be remodeled, if you will. In the best case scenario, because they're definitely losing their edge. When you start to look at the cost of college and the return on it, it's just not a good investment how it used to be in the early 90s, early 2000s. Like, to pay $150,000 for undergrad now in some cases is insane. Without a guarantee of a job, it's tough.
You can't spell apartments without me.
Found a sweet dentist on ZocDoc. Dr. Staff is a real beauty, and people say he's passionate about dentistry. Dr. Sales on 33rd Street? We can practically skate there. Booked it. Sweet.
You've got options. Book now.
Those with Robinhood Gold can enjoy a 3% IRA match. Tremendous.
Used car shopping doesn't have to be scary.
I don't want to overpay.
Sure, nearly half of all used cars have been in an accident, but that's nothing to fear.
Show me Carfax.
Knowing how a car's accident history impacts price means you don't have to overpay. You can look now.
I am looking.
Why are you still covering your eyes?
I don't know.
No fear, just box. Say, show me at Carfax.com. Yeah, you're still covering your eyes.
No, I'm not.
It's tough.
That's a fact. Okay. 60% of Coachella attendees finance their tickets to attend.
Buy now, pay later. This is concerning. It's one of those like anecdotes that you hear and you almost believe isn't true, and it gives like a sign of weakness in the economy. Whenever we start to finance too much, and not that Coachella's inexpensive, but I just thought it was an interesting footnote. Going back to the conversation we had on Monday about where the economy is and credit card levels and the cash is not flush. I know everyone on Instagram makes you feel like the economy is great and the job market is thriving, but a lot of people are hurting. So if you have 60% of your people financing for a weekend, which is a non-luxury item or non-essential item. It just gives you a sign of where we are. And I wonder for broader markets and events, how much of that is being financed by not pay later and Klarna and stuff like that, because they don't have enough money at the end of the month. So the economy is in a bad place. No one wants to say it because you don't want to come off as an alarmist and pessimist and to remove hope from people. But once again, if it was 60% of people invest that's financed, it would be a bigger deal. You're taking advantage of the community and all kind of things. So I just think America right now is in such a tough position where it has not done a great enough job thinking about the long-term ramifications of some of the stuff and hasn't taken care of its people. And now we're hitting some all-time levels. Even at, we'll go ahead an all-time high with the price of what it is now, most people can't afford to even invest in it. Gold is priced higher than most textiles. It's tough. I know we talked a lot about dual citizenship, but if you have to move to 3 places in the world outside of America, or 3.
Well, Ghana, because obvious reasons. We have the relationships and everything moving out there.
Yeah.
Dubai, UAE.
It's a good one.
I think that's probably, the best place on earth right now as far as everything, all factors considering.
Mm-hmm.
And the third place that I would move to, I would probably say London.
Okay.
I like that 3.
I'll probably say London.
Ghana,
What
London.
about you?
Dubai.
Mexico.
I like
1.
that.
Dubai, 2nd. And I really don't have a 3rd. I gotta go explore, because everywhere else, like Bali's too far, so I don't have enough friends there. I may run into Russell, but how many conversations can you have about, fat farm with him in the course of a year? So yeah, that would be my top 2. Mexico, Dubai, for sure. So if you met the baddest of the baddies in Dubai, and she like, what a shop that lets you do whatever you want, but you gotta share your location. She let you have a haram, but you gotta share location. Habibi.
Habibi.
Go to hookah, do whatever you want. You not share location?
No, I just don't believe in sharing location. Like I said, I don't have anything against it. I don't have anything against it.
My boy is going.
How do you feel about wedding rings?
What do you mean?
Would you wear a wedding ring?
If it's in flashing, I can't just do like this with the 10-carat band. I see most men is cutting to circulation. A regular what? No. Every kiss never gives me a kiss. Every kiss. Like, go to LA Magic. I saw the game yesterday. So yeah, if it's in but just the regular Smeagol. Yeah. You're not a wedding ring person. Like, if you got married, you would wear a wedding ring. You'd be like a watch or something. A wedding watch.
A wedding watch is legendary. A wedding watch.
Give me an Audemars.
I believe it. I just feel like a lot of this stuff is just, we just gotta start questioning everything. Like, I just look at my parents been married probably 47 years. And they're the type to be together every day. Like, every day they're together. Like, they go to the grocery store together. They always together all the time.
That's crazy.
My dad he never had a wedding ring.
Oh, really? Okay.
Like, you married, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like if you married, you married. Like, I'm not knocking it, but I'm just saying, I feel like a lot of times in Western society, we follow traditions that have been set by us, for us by Europeans, without really even thinking about it. And a lot of times we get caught up in those things, but not the important aspects of what a real relationship is. And that's why the divorce rate is so high. Like, you want to make sure your wedding is perfect. You want to make sure you got the flowers. You want to
and
make
the pictures and
the diamond engagement ring and the pictures, and you're gonna put it on Instagram, and then you realize that you have no foundation in your relationship.
Yeah. A lot more people care about the party and the marriage process opposed to like the actual marriage for sure.
Yeah, and I think Instagram has really done because you know everything is for the gram now. So it's like you gotta make sure that your proposal is almost a photo shoot at this point. It wasn't always like that.
No, it wasn't like
You
that.
gotta make sure you got a professional photographer and videographer at your proposal, not just
Even
your
at the, I would have seen some gender reveals go crazy.
gender reveals, everything. But you got think about the pressure that's on that, right? Because traditionally, like previously, when you got engaged, it was between you and your fiance, right?
Yeah, and the family.
Maybe you might invite the family. Now that has turned into damn near a wedding, where you're inviting people. They're coming from out of state. You gotta figure out how you're gonna do this. You gotta make sure that you gotta make sure that the lighting is right because it has to be perfect on Instagram. So you gotta make sure the lighting is right. You gotta make sure the videographer is there but hidden because you don't want him to know. You know what I'm saying? So it's like
It's an espionage mission.
That's a fact. There's a lot of pressure on somebody where it's like the origin of marriage, that was not part of that. Like when we first got the origin, when people first created the origin, the union of marriage, all of the stuff that we have now was not thought about yet.
Yeah, one of our folks.
That's it.
But I think if somebody like you, like all that extra shit won't matter if they truly care about you. A lot of times, like fellows that get caught up in doing too much, because you know if you don't do that shit, she won't stay with you. Gotta be mindful.
What if she says no?
That's fucking crazy.
You don't propose to somebody that's gonna say no. That's
If you even think it's remotely attractive,
You
what?
You
Try
don't
doing it.
propose to somebody that's gonna say no. People are like, well, how you gonna know? You know.
You know.
You know.
If I don't get the ugly cry on the proposal, I'm gonna be fucking upset. What?
You know. You know. You know deep down there's a possibility that she could say no.
If there's an inkling,
that means that you should not be proposing. They gotta be 100,000% no chance in the world that is a no.
And she
Why would I use kayak to compare hundreds of travel sites at once? I like to do things myself. I can't trust anything else to do the job right.
Kayak. Switch one and done.
Fun fact. The person at McDonald's is always the most popular kid in school. And if they save money with it.
Need a high-quality AI voice like this for your content?
and she's elated too. Some of y'all be proposing getting the answer in like 10 seconds. She buys time. Oh my God. She thinking about that roster. Area stuff. Going to fucking Milwaukee. I got the Dante in Atlanta. They get the fan too hard, the little fake tears. Hey fellas, y'all gotta quit falling. Just too quiet, I mean. Calm down. Calm down.
Well, yeah, I do believe in marriage. I am a proponent for all you men out there, because it's mostly the men. Why are they always talking about marriage? Why are they talking about marriage? Like,
y'all not even married. I'm like, y'all sound like, and y'all don't want to even be married to who y'all married to. We're going to keep it 100. The fuck, y'all need to be the main ones. Y'all would have bitches that invest best. I thought you was married. Shut the fuck up, man. That would be like us being like, why you talking to me and you not rich? You know how pompous that would sound. What? Man, y'all can never talk about this because we've lived some experiences you never come in.
that's a fact, though. That's a fact.
Humbly and respectfully, I'm not saying, but I'm just saying, what you got married because you had an option. Different, you late when people admire you for you, and even though I was my son of the game and shit, like they coming, yo man, I appreciate you, God. They were looking like, why are these people coming up to you? I'm like, because I'm him. I'm Steph with the stock shit in real life. That's why. That shit he did on jail, no, 48 feet. That's me in video. That's Hey, some of y'all be tired of not because you don't not have shit else going. Put that in your calendar. And to the social media team, don't put this on the side. Please, these are jokes. This is why the community tuned in, because y'all pompous. Listen, my boy. Listen. This shit got us to a video. I don't have nothing to say. There's internet perspective and market cap. I don't even know how you just sit there humbly and going to shoot the jaw guy in $12. But you great, Joe. That's why I convinced you to shut me up some shit and tuck up like, whew.
I keep working. But like I said, I don't want people to think that I'm anti-marriage or I believe in that. I believe in that.
And then some of y'all be married, they'll be like, oh, if I was in your shoes, I would never get married. But then your wife pressed you for watching Blackout. Yo, man, I'll stay single 65. Go wait till you die. That's a mistake, too. Hey, fellas, I know y'all be saying that red pill shit. Yo, women value decrease after 35. A lot of y'all look raggedy as shit at 40.
That's a fact.
Raggedy. Yes, ladies, yes or no? Y'all people.
Don't wait it out too long.
Don't wait too long, my boy.
Don't wait it out too long because you're going to see the options. It ain't really as plentiful as you thought.
Then you're going to be a passport big bro. Yeah, you're going to try to get you something wrong and then go to the Bronx and they're going to spend circles around you, boy. You gotta be careful. You gotta be careful.
Speaking of being careful, what's up with this dude, Tony Busby? Dennis Sharp actually released a statement. So, for people that don't know, $50 million lawsuit allegedly saying that, it was some verbal abuse, some level of abuse between a past girlfriend or whatever. And Shannon Sharp put out a whole detailed 2-page statement counteracting that. Busby's the guy that Jay-Z recently went after.
Yep.
And I think he got debarred from New York because of that. And, he's one of these guys that, they call him an ambulance chaser type of vibe. What's your thoughts on the situation?
Tony, you gotta chill out, my boy. I know you have built a reputation for yourself, but shooting at the wrong targets will throw your career off. Even in the Breakfast Club interview a couple weeks ago, Chef Carrie for the show, revealed she didn't even write the diss track. To be honest, she was forced to do it. Like, there's some entities that you are going to go against that you don't realize how much backing and support they have, and it may throw off your career. So the Jay-Z thing didn't work. I can't speak to Shannon's character really. I only met him once. But watching his career over a long period of time, even with us, for these reasons, I've heard Shannon say a bunch of times, I wouldn't even go in the same elevator as one-on-one, just because I don't want the interaction. Even some of y'all investors, give me a hug. Fist bump. I'm a church hug you. I'm giving you a hip. Because I don't want any of that same kind of shit that he's going through. I think if a lot of these lawsuits keep falling not in his favor, there needs to be an action. I don't think you should just be able to ambulance chase for this and that. And then also to accuse someone of these charges and not pursue anything criminally and then just go civil first is asinine. Like, if you say he forced himself upon someone or verbally was abusive, then why not pursue any criminal charges? Fellas, also, it's a lesson. If you are lit and you really negotiating, you got to be mindful of some of the, as my dad will call them, snares that they're going to throw your way. For sure. Fellas, all that, I'm going to be macho and talk crazy to everybody. You're going to get a lot of legal cases behind that. This is not 1960, 1970. Please be mindful of how you talk in text or in person. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I agree. Pope Francis.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. Pope passed away. I was watching this thing. They are saying that one of the leading people for the new Pope is the Pope Cardinal from Ghana.
Mm.
So, do you think that there will ever be a black Pope?
I was just talking about this today. Shout out to Baby brought up this conversation. There's a movie about this whole scenario.
About the black Pope?
Yep, and he ended up being second in running. I always think in movies there's a lot of foreshadowing given the relationship they have with the agencies and entities that run the world. I don't think that the world is ready for, I would love to see it. I don't know if the world is ready for a black pope or that wears the white robe. I'll say that because there's other black pope. So I would love to see it, but given the level of division and how super conservatism is sweeping not only our nation but the world, that would be the first time in how many years we've had a black pope elected. Yeah, that would be amazing. Y'all thought we celebrated when Obama got along? Woo, boy, we get a pope from Ghana? Oh my God. What? Century of the return. What? Yep. Don't y'all take convictions to the Vatican if you get in office. I mean, get in the pope. Hey, y'all turn everything down. Come on. Don't do it. You think we'll get a black pope?
Do I think that we'll get a black Pope?
So much, I know. The problem with having so much information, for those of you who hate who do this, you all hate me, you all say you want to talk about something. You have to find ways to communicate those without being a threat to the information or the system. So much is stake there.
So, do you want to know something interesting?
Yes.
There's been 3 black popes already.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they don't tell you.
Don't tell you. Yep. That's like 1700s.
The last one was 492
Oh,
AD.
really?
492 AD. So you can Google this if you got interest in ChatGPT. Pope Victor from 189 to 199 AD. He's from modern day Tunisia, Libya, and keep in mind, Libya and Tunisia didn't look the same that it does now.
Now, yep.
Then, that's before the Arab invasion. Another one, Pope Meletius, 311 to 314 AD, North Africa. And then the last one was Pope Julius. Research. Research.
No.
Research.
Mm-hmm. I forgot the name of that movie, but you guys can go. I think it's on Netflix about how they decided who can be the new pope and the decision-making matrix that goes on to select the name of the pope.
Oh, it's a whole process. It's
Right
kind
down the strip.
it's kind of gangster.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. But in modern day,
Corona Sombreau, with a splash of real vibrant juice and classic cerveza, with zesty citrus and orangey lime.
society, do I think we'll have a black pope? That's
We're minded to the situation.
You have to monitor it.
You have to monitor the
You have
situation.
to monitor
Let's
the
see.
situation.
Because we're not familiar enough with the selection process and the data goes there. He's versed enough to know. You know?
But Google images of 3 African folks. That's a history lesson for you guys.
Yes.
That they'll never teach you and you'll never learn.
Umar, add this into your talk point matrix.
Please. Please. Have billionaires destroyed America?
Such a heavy question. Let me put on my cape. Some, not all. Did you see the sort of that stuff? Some, not all.
Some, not all. I like that.
So,
I like that.
I do think you may have a class of megalomaniacs that are in the billionaire class or billionaire family regime that have not put the best interests of the country ahead of their own private interests, for sure. And once again, as I talked about on Monday, I think there was too much of an emphasis on short-term thinking and short-term gain and not enough conversations around the long-term ramifications. So, also, is generational wealth overrated? Because even in some of these richest families, they only last 3 generations, 4 max. The Vanderbilt families are kudos to honest people, but them, the Rockefellers, the oligarchs that used to be are not sustaining how they used to. I do think you should give your kids a leg up for sure. Definitely believe that. But I think when we talk generational wealth, a lot of times I don't think people realize the decay that there is in the asset management and then especially the business. Usually, like when the business person who started it dies and goes to the wayside, it's really taken up by friends and family of that person, more so than the kids.
Well, generational wealth is almost a lottery. You should try for generational wealth for sure. That's important.
Yeah.
Because it's the worst that can happen. You're gonna have a lot of money while you're alive. The thing with generational wealth is that it goes.
You need something to
beyond
drink
just how
before
much
your
money you
workout
can
to get
acquire
right.
living.
I would
Because
say
a
some
major
protein
part of it
shake.
is
I definitely do water
variables
before the
that's out of
workout.
your control.
Or one of these
Like your
foods.
descendants.
If you got nothing, not even a yogurt, right?
Like,
I would say
Yeah.
eat something like
You
fruit,
can have-
like a banana.
first of all, you
or
gotta
something
have enough
like, go
children
get
to make this make
from like a
sense.
store real quick or something like
Male children specifically. So, okay, let's say you have 3 sons, right? You do your best raising your kids, but ultimately you can't control your kids. Well, let's say you have 2 good kids and 1 knucklehead. So all right, so now you got at least 2 good kids. They carry on tradition, they carry on legacy, right?
Yep.
Well, what if out of those 2 kids, right? They only have 1 son, or they may have 3 daughters. Now the daughters they get married to men. The men that they get married to, they might be knuckleheads. So, or one of the kids might go crazy. One of the kids might just be a thief. One of the kids might be a drug addict. There's a variety of different things.
Or the husband that ain't going to take over the business the way Triple H did from Vince.
Exactly. There's a variety of different things out of your control that can lead to squandering of a fortune or losing a company or mismanagement.
When did they get on this topic? I don't even know what this is.
Research.
Popes. They was talking
Research.
popes.
No.
Research.
I ain't even strong enough for it.
I forgot the name of that movie, but you guys can go. I think it's on Netflix about how they decided to get a new pope and the decision-making matrix that goes on. That's
Oh, it's a whole process. It's kind of gangster.
allegedly.
Allegedly. But in modern day society, do I think we'll have a black pope?
No.
That's
We'll monitor the situation.
you have to monitor it.
You have to monitor the situation.
You have to monitor the
Let's see.
situation.
Because we're not familiar enough with the selection process and the data goes with first enough to know.
But Google images of 3 African folks. That's a history lesson for you guys. That they'll never teach you and you'll never learn.
Umar, add this into the to your talk point matrix.
Please. Please. Have billionaires destroyed America?
Such a heavy question. They put on my cake. Some, not all. Each took some aspects. Some, not all. So, I do think you may have a class of megalomaniacs that are in the billionaire class or billionaire family regime that have not put the best interests of the country ahead of their own private interests for sure. And once again, as I talked about on Monday, I think there was too much of an emphasis on short-term thinking and short-term gain and not enough conversations around the long-term ramifications. So, also too, is generational wealth overrated? Because even in some of these richest families, they only last 3 generations, 4 max. The Vanderbilt families are kudos to other people, but them, the Rockefellers, the oligarchs that used to be are not sustaining how they used to. I do think you should give your kids a leg up for sure. Definitely believe that. But I think when we talk generational wealth, a lot of times I don't think people realize the decay that there is in asset management, and then, especially in the business. Usually, like when the business person who started dies and goes to the wayside, it's really taken up by friends and family of that person, more so than the kids.
Well, generational wealth is almost a lottery. You should try for generational wealth for sure. That's important.
Yeah.
Because it's the worst that can happen. You're gonna have a lot of money while you're alive. The thing with generational wealth is that it goes beyond just how much money you can acquire while you're still living. Because a major part of it is variables that's out of your control, like your descendants, right? Like you can have. First of all, you got to have enough children to make this make sense. Male children specifically. So, okay, let's say you have 3 sons, right? You do your best raising your kids, but ultimately you can't control your kids. Well, let's say you have 2 good kids and 1 knucklehead. So, all right, so now you got at least 2 good kids. They carry on tradition, they carry on legacy, right?
Yep.
But what if out of those 2 kids, right? They only have 1 son, or they might have 3 daughters. Now the daughters they get married. The men that they get married to, they might be knuckleheads. So, or one of the kids might go crazy. One of the kids might just be a thief. One of the kids might be a drug addict. There's a variety of different things.
Or the husband may angle to take over the business the way the Triple H did from Vince.
Exactly. There's a variety of different things that's out of your control that can lead to squandering of a fortune or losing a company or mismanagement. It's out of your control. So usually you see like wealth is usually going up every generation. The first generation, including yourself, the first generation is you have to get it, right?
Yep.
The second generation is passed down, so they're more managing, they're more managerial standpoint. The third generation, by that time, they have no appreciation for anything. They've already been 2 generations of being rich, doesn't really matter to them. They're not equipped. They're not equipped to handle it. And the third generation usually squanders it.
Yeah.
It's beauty and black.
What do you guys think?
Let's talk about beauty and
But
black.
you still got to try for it.
Of course.
I know this movie, I'm like, Parker do trust and then
It's the word, y'all.
there are lawyers who are sharks either in the planning and the state process who are sharks who find ways to manage money out of those accounts. The same way that Hubert Davis, I don't know if you listened, but clearly you may not have liked our commentary, but from that class, it was a lot of advisors who got a lot of money from athletes. What's not talked about enough is the attorneys who get a lot of money out of this estate planning. Especially if the kids are not proactive or knowing what assets are collected in said trust. There's ways around that. Just go look at some of the cases, 100 million, 300 million, 400 million dollars worth of for multiple people. So, and these are from smart people. No dummy, amasses $300 or $400 million in wealth in the end. So, Podcasters, I know you were upset last week. I love you so much from the bottom of my heart. I just want to be loved and want to love you back. But I said what I said, then Lil Duval backed up everything that I said.
What did he say?
Y'all ran podcasting into the ground. And I know it's a bunch of people in the comments who's like, well, the growth rate is 8% year over year. A lot of the numbers sound great, and there's once again the true crime states, which I illustrated last week, enough of us are not in. Y'all let Chapo Ross come in and take all the fucking trap stories. Every BB story, every Dirk Von story, Yellow Beezy, y'all let him come in, and y'all gonna say nothing to him, at least whack Preston. Jesus. What? Okay. But the typical Wayne for podcast, and I'm not saying this to hate. Like, I care about us. And a lot of times, y'all think that I'm just here, like, popping shit. I'm telling you, there's been too much concentration in this, just like the same way y'all did NFTs, and there's not enough diversity in the content being created to give you a leg up to have a chance to make an impact in that space. I've been saying it for 2 years. You know, my podcast going out of business, business model wrong. And y'all keep fighting it, and y'all keep going out of business. You can't have $2 million of expenses and think AdSense is going to move the needle for you. That's the sole way of getting paid. But what do I know? If I gatekeep, I'm an asshole. If I couldn't keep, I'm an asshole. What more do you want to be? Podcast Summit at InvestFest. Maybe we'll get Vlad to tell y'all in real time that it's not working over here. Y'all know that's Vlad anymore.
Who's the top kingmakers in our culture?
In what industry?
Media. I have.
That's a great question.
What you say? You can talk what?
Kingmaker?
Kingmaker.
Oh, Kingmaker.
I'm gonna build my list off your list. Who you got? You surprised me with this one. This was going.
Oprah Winfrey.
Okay.
Look at her tree. Gayle King.
Oh, just in general, not for the culture. Oh, just in general? Oh, okay, go. Gotcha.
Oprah Winfrey for sure.
Yeah.
Then I would definitely go with Nick Cannon.
For sure.
I mean, you look at his, he used to manage, R&B singer from Oakland.
Kalani?
Kalani.
Yeah.
Oh, Kalani?
Early. Kalani. Of course, Wildin' Out. I mean, that's tree was
legendary.
Like, Nick Cannon don't get enough credit as far as, and he don't take percentages of them.
Yeah. He does right by people that he
He's put a lot of people on. Nick Cannon has put a lot of people on. He's responsible for a lot of people's success.
Yep.
Charlemagne the God.
For sure.
I think Charlemagne
A lot of fruit on that tree.
definitely responsible for a lot of people's blowing up.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. He's influential. Biggest platform on a daily basis with the Breakfast Club.
Gives a lot of game freely.
For sure. Charlemagne, for sure.
Bob Johnson out of that conversation? He gave a lot of opportunities to comedians.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I was thinking more of like
Like present day? Oh, okay, hands on. Okay.
Hands-on type thing.
Oh, okay, got you.
I would go with Kevin Hart.
For sure.
I think Steve Harvey.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a few. I mean, and then of course if you go music side, you got Jay-Z.
Yeah.
You can't forget LeBron James either.
That's a great point. Yeah, he's put a lot of people in position.
Is there a Maverick Carter and a Rick Paul without LeBron? Of course, shout out to those guys. They are geniuses in that way, right? But
yeah, they took the ball around with it, but yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
That comes from Bron.
And his vision, yeah. At a time when it was looked down upon. I remember, what was that, Rap City he went on and brought them? Everybody was talking about, like, how could he have his friends advising him? And that was it. Like, in hindsight, brilliant move, but at the time, everyone was criticized. ESPN was criticized.
Facts. They criticize him on everything. LeBron's the GOAT.
I'm biased, but, you know, I think y'all have done a great job at elevating, regardless of what the public may say. You know what I mean?
Appreciate you, you know?
Of course.
Self-praise is no praise, so you always got to get accolades from other people.
I don't believe that. Sometimes you got to play it, toot your own horn. Pause. But I'll say it. Y'all put some voices on some stages that, you know? Yeah. Especially the best fest, boy. It'd be like 80, 90 people, you know what I mean?
That's a fact.
Easily. So, and the mix of voices and talent paired together, that's, trust me, I went to a lot of conferences before, boy, and they was boring as hell. Okay. Go for it. Are you ready? Yeah.
Get hooked up on everyday spending with Cash App offers.
Oh my sauce. That is so embarrassing. I am so saucy. I mean, sorry. I really hope you have one of those rain.
Get it lit. So, yeah. That's a good Kingmaker list.
Kingmaker.
For sure.
Yeah.
Tyler
Perry.
For sure.
For sure. For
Yeah.
sure.
Master of media, too.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Shonda Rhimes. She's cultivated a lot of talent and fought for a lot of talent who wouldn't have been in certain shows at a certain time, especially like with Scandal and How to Get Away with Murder. Like, she fought for a lot of the characters and creators that she had on that show.
And it's unfortunate the situation that he's in now, but Kanye West.
For sure.
If you look at Kanye, I mean, you have Virgil, Orange Tree, you have Don C.
Don C, yep.
You have what's my man? Jerry Lorenzo.
Yeah, for sure. Oh yeah, I forgot.
That's just on fashion.
Fashion, yeah.
It's fashion. And
Music-wise, Amplified Kid Cudi, Travis.
Justin LeBoy. I mean, he didn't make Justin LeBoy, but
he helped accelerate
and amplifying his voice. Then yeah, you said music side. You got Big Sean.
Facts.
100% John Legend.
Big facts.
Like he might have the illest family tree.
One of. He got a great.
He got the fashion side. His fashion side is crazy.
Yeah.
And he got the music side. His music side is crazy.
People hate when I say it, but Kanye is a better creator than Steve Jobs. He just got so off track. Like, if I told you in 2008, Steve Jobs will influence 3 fashion brands, a music label, and tech, you'll be like, there's no fucking way. Kanye did it. He just went off the rails.
That's a fact. That's a
Like,
fact.
if he stayed on rails, Kanye probably worth 20 or 30 billion easily.
His family tree is crazy.
Skims.
Facts. Facts.
He put Skim in power and put the designer who really came up with Skims in the
Facts. Facts.
He got the whole world on earth tones and nude and all that.
Troy said Spike Lee.
Okay.
Early days, I guess.
Early days, yeah.
Denzel Washington. He gave
For
a lot
sure.
of actors their first break. Samuel L. Jackson.
For sure.
Denzel Washington. I mean, you can just stop there. That's legendary. Yeah. That's a legendary acting tree.
2 of the greatest ever, yeah.
2 of the greatest.
Giancarlo from Breaking Bad.
Halle Berry.
Pass me those tops.
How old Halle Berry?
Yes, sir.
How old?
Halle Berry. Halle Berry.
You'll
move up the draft class for Halle.
But put in chat. Who's some of the top?
You can help me label when I'm done.
That you've witnessed.
And
in this,
I'm straight right now. I gotta walk in.
Ryan Coogler making his way on that list.
Right,
Ryan
Coogler,
but
that movie.
I mean, Michael B. Jordan. That's
yes,
legendary.
Right. The Michael B. Jordan, that's him, right? Like,
Yep.
Ryan Coogler.
So what's the brother that directed Get Out?
Oh, Jordan Peele.
Jordan Peele?
Yeah, he's another one. Chappelle too. We leave Chappelle off that Kingmaker list. Chappelle solid and let people get their royalties and splits correctly and didn't rob everybody. Especially that comedy scene, it's a lot of people. Even after he got canceled, he was still helping.
Marion Barry?
That's the different. Well, true.
No,
True.
you got Don Peebles, and Bob Johnson.
Yeah.
2 billionaires.
Yeah. That's true. If there's any political officials that are currently on substances and then want to elevate me or the shot, please give us a call. I will have your back forever, my boy. Forever.
The Kingmaker.
Mm-hmm.
You need more Kingmakers in this world.
True. True.
But the problem is that when you make these people kings,
They betray.
they turn to mad kings.
Absolutely.
That's the problem.
And don't stay solid. That's the issue.
That's the fact.
Mm-hmm. And I kind of get it.
That's
comfortable.
the opposite of a kingmaker is a gatekeeper.
We gotta put a gate around a fortress.
Who's your top 5 gatekeepers? You go first.
And
Top 5 gatekeepers, you go first, this man.
oh my God! In our community,
The Mount Rushmore of gatekeepers. I know a few. I got a few in mind.
Troy, put some in the
I got
chat.
a few.
Top 5 gatekeepers of all time.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, that leads to the conversation: is gatekeeping necessary? If people are not gonna be loyal.
Sometimes it is. I ain't gonna
Yeah.
lie to you. Sometimes it is. Once you get burned a few times, you realize, all right.
Done. Like they call it a moat for a reason, and the way to have more opportunities flow back is if a person helps you not to turn your back on them or betray them. As soon as the shit get a little rocky or I don't know. Okay. Cool. Off gatekeeper. That's a good question. Let me call the phone. Troy, help me out. Is it gatekeeping if somebody asks for an apology so I can do an interview? Or no?
There's a few gatekeepers.
Yeah.
A few that come to mind.
Yeah. That is cool. Can you force somebody an apology to do an apology so your partner and friend can do an interview? Is that gatekeeping?
To do an apology? Well,
Yeah.
this is like a real life situation.
Remember, oh boy, wanted an apology from you before. He's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I said, what? That's a crazy business stance, too.
And the beat goes on.
For real.
And the beat goes on.
For real.
Oh.
Culture vulture. When a culture vulture and a gatekeeper combine.
Combination. That's a great combination, though. You get it wrong.
That's a dangerous combination. Dangerous.
But you gotta outwork the vultures. I keep saying it. Outwork. Hey, a lot of y'all Trump Lord Ross got y'all wiped down. A lot of y'all don't want to touch it. Hey, I'm not saying you should touch stories, but from a documentarian standpoint, you got to give him credit for what he's created. But y'all won't say nothing. Y'all won't say nothing crazy there. Top 5 gatekeepers that we can talk about. Oh, that's one who be faking them numbers too. But yeah, he powerful. He powerful. He do that.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep, y'all.
It's going well. We'll see you guys.
Yeah, we.
functionality for the profile picture. Click change photo. Go ahead and see. Now change photo. Man, it's kind of just working. And you have this picture. Like that's me. Save changes. It saves here. I'm impressed. Okay, so now we go back to the feed and get the comments section to work. Okay, so this is the point at which I'm creating these smaller adaptations I want this app to function the way I want. Before I take it to the next step, where we're going to connect the database, and after that, we're also going to create authentication. So what's authentication? Authentication is log in, log out, forgot my password. Let's see if this comment now works. Oh, it works. You are awesome. Let's see if that works. You're awesome. Photography level. I thought my name was Christian P. So let's try to fix that. Okay, so the first thing I want to change about that is that when we click on comment, I don't actually want it to pop up like this. I want it to happen underneath automatically. So I'll just say that. And this is one of the things I often do, which is like, here's what's currently happening. I would like that to actually happen. Can you fix it for me? So kind of like state that you're seeing, state that you would like to see, and then the AI is usually pretty good at creating that. Now, when it comes to AI, the way that you speak to it is literally the results that you will get. So I'll bring you through, and I'm really surprised we haven't hit any bugs. So for the moment, step 1, 10 out of 10 for horizons. But obviously now we're about to go into the deeper stuff. And if we get too blocked, don't worry, I'll continue shooting the video and just kind of like finish up kind of my review of it. Now let's see how this functionality actually has been updated. Look at that right here. Excellent, excellent. And it adds it here. Perfect. Since I updated my name, I expect the posts to have the same change, right? So let's go ahead and click on that, and we're gonna jump into the next stage. Now, I'm going to continue going a little bit here, but I quickly want to bring you to where you're interested in getting, which is basically, let's start attaching a backend. Let's do some more complicated stuff. Let's break this thing. My goal is to break things, because when we're AI coding, we need to understand that, honestly, things break. And at that point, I have a methodology. I have lots of different steps that can be used to troubleshoot it. Starting with a super simple step, just like fix it, all the way to like actually like checking where in the process something is breaking, so we can see like at least what the problem we're having is. Because yeah, AI coding has some things which are outside of our control, right? It's AI that's writing the code. So the better that we get at talking to it like we're a designer or like we're a developer, the better it's going to be at actually responding. You don't want to get too technical, but there's kind of a middle ground that's perfect. So let's see. Let's make another post now and see what's up. I love life. Excellent. It has now posted. And my name is correct. Let's go! And we see both on the profile page. Just so cool. We see there was one comment. This is really cool, guys. It's working. By the way, if you started building a project and you find yourself stuck in the middle of it, then I highly recommend that you check out our program. We have a program that's going to teach you not just how to build your first app with AI coding tools, but also how to actually go out there and get first paying customers. You have to apply. We do not accept everyone. It's called the AI Coding Bootcamp, and in 30 days, we're going to transform you from the idea person into an action-taking person who's able to take advantage of opportunities when they actually come. And to be clear, this is for people who have absolutely no technical skills at all. In the last cohort, we built 22 startups, and only 2 of those people had previous backgrounds in coding. So if you're interested in this program, check it out in the description. Let's get back to the video. So now let's just keep it at that for the moment. I'm going to connect the database. Now, what am I going to use? Well, as you can see from here on the top right-hand side, Supabase is the platform I'm going to use. What's Supabase? Well, Supabase is the database we're going to be using, meaning that you can store data like the images in your post or your profile name or the number of likes that a specific post has. But Supabase is actually not only just a database. It's also the place that we're going to be able to do authentication, meaning creating the authenticated users, log in, log out, sign in, sign out, lost password, etc. And on top of that, it's going to allow us to do things like edge functions or API connections, which is basically bringing more complicated features inside of your app. Now, the first thing I need to do once I'm ready to connect the database and I'm happy with what's happening over here is jump inside my Supabase account and create a new project. So I have a handful of projects here, mostly test projects. You go ahead and create a new one, and here it's going to ask for the name. Pick top, and then password 1234. And just a couple of signs make it safe. I don't know. It's not that safe. Doesn't matter. Create a new project, and now we're just going to want to wait a couple of minutes. We're going to want to
collect two things. The public key over here, I'm going to copy that. I'm going to put it on the side. This is something that you should not share with anyone because they will have access to your database if they do. And then also, a little bit further under here, there's also the URL of the project. You can get access to these at any point, but since we're waiting a little bit here, it is still loading. You have to wait for this to properly load. I'm just going to basically, copy these to the side, and I'll be feeding them towards the end. You'll see, we first prepare the project within Supabase, and then we connect it to hosting your Horizons. But actually, as I wait for that, I'm going to come into Horizons and tell it, hey, we're going to connect authentication. And here I'm going to tell it, I'm ready to connect the database and authentication. Which one should I do first? Is basically what I'm asking. So it's saying first, authentication. And this is actually a really good point. You want to set up authentication before you attach your database because sometimes an experience can be fully based on authenticated user or not. And so in this case, I only want people who are basically signed in users to be able to, post pictures, that those pictures are under their account. That's the reason why. So yeah, it's saying, hey, why don't you just start with authentication and then we connect the database, which is great. And both of those actually happen within Supabase, which is what's so great about Supabase. So let's check it out. Yes, the project status is now ready to go. So the first thing I want to do before I attach authentication is to deactivate. Here on the left-hand side, we see authentication, and we basically want to turn off email notifications. So I go here into sign in, sign up. Once I'm doing this, I'm a little bit down here in email, and I unselect this, and I save. So this will allow me to basically build out this app without having to log in, log out every single time that I get into it, right? Because every time I make a change, it's going to ask me to log back in, and that's the real thing. So we're going to skip that. So first I deactivate that, and then we'll basically come here and we'll just follow the instructions. Now to connect, we basically go here to the top right, click on this, and the first thing we're going to do is go inside of our project. This is We Are No Code, and I'm going to refresh here, and hopefully we see PickTop. There you go. Then we're going to connect. So let's start by setting up authentication. And look at this, a really nice screen that reflects the brand color. And then go ahead and click on sign up, create an account. And now the cool thing is that, as you can see, it's also created the log out functionality. So it has basically added the pages, and now it is basically telling me that I, am logged in. And the proof of that is that I now have access to the feed and also to my profile. Here it's recommending, would you like me to implement the database integration next? Yes, please. At this point, I can get people to log into this app, and now I'm really going to check that the authentication happened correctly. It's also, look at this, we have an error. Excellent. Let's start by updating the necessary components. Base storage, excellent. Into changing. I've updated the profile context to use Supabase profile management. Now let's update the feed component. Would you like to proceed with these updates? Let's first fix this bug. So the first thing we'll do if we hit a problem like this is just to click on fix, right? And 1 out of 2 times, it'll actually fix it. So the second way I would try to fix this is by rolling back the app. At any point, I can come and click on one of these undos, and it can basically roll me back to the last one, which is restore right here. And then I'm going to just change the prompt, right, that I'm feeding it. See if a different prompt will basically give me better results. If that does not work, I usually will try to use a different approach, saying, hey, what you tried to implement didn't work. Could you provide me with an alternative solution to this problem? And so there are a number of steps that I'll take, and the last step is basically crash the project, burn everything, and move to Hawaii. So the first thing I notice here is that there are no more images, and that might be because it is properly set up in Supabase, and now it cleared the database. So let's go ahead and check out what's happening here. Let's check out the actual database, which is the structure of all this. Look at that. It basically has a table for comments, for likes, for saved posts, for profiles, and they're all linked to posts and to an authenticated user, which means that it's actually created these different tables: posts, profiles, saved posts. So it's created all the tables that I need. And also, if you go to authentication, you can see that there's one user here. So authentication is working. The database seems to be connected, but the only way to really test that is to come back in here and to create a new post and see whether or not that's saving in the database. So fingers crossed, this is the part where things can go wrong. Again, post something. I love automating businesses. We have broken it. Ask Bryson to fix this error. Okay, so we're taking the first step of troubleshooting. And this, my friends, is completely normal. One of the best lessons I've learned is to be persistent, is to try to not make the same mistakes over and over and try to push it. If you can't go in the front door, try to go through the side window. If you can't go through the back top window, if not, there might be something you can go underneath and whatever. You know, the point is that we want to find alternative solutions. So let's see what is happening now. Let's go ahead and what is it telling me? First of all, I want to understand what is happening. I'll help you fix the error of create post component. The issue is that set post is being passed as a prop, but it's not being provided by the parent component. Interesting. Let's update the create post component to use the base for post creation. Okay, great. Tells me it works. Let's go ahead and test it. It seems like now we have a different problem. So here I'm going to say, when I create a new post, click on the share post button. The button changes to say posting and then changes back to share post. It should actually send the post information to get saved in Supabase in the post table and then redirect the user to a feed. So I'm being very, very specific about what's happening and what I actually want to happen. Let's see if we can figure this out. Probably back here. Let's see what happens. Let's upload a different image. And it failed. Excellent. The first thing I'd do is figure out what's actually happening. Is this being saved in the table? So let's go ahead and check out the post table. We have a post. No, we do not have a post here. Interesting. Okay, let's try that again. So I'm going to go ahead and grab an image. Let's see, fingers crossed. I don't know, it seems like it worked, but now we're not seeing anything inside of the feed. Okay, well, let's see if that actually worked. Oh, look at this. Inside the posts now, we have a first post. We succeeded, my friends. So at least we know that this is somewhat working. We're going to have to continue to test it out, though, because it seems like on the front end, it's not showing anything. Okay, now the post is saving inside the database, but I'm not seeing it on the front end. Okay, we also have an error here, so I'm going to try to fix this error, which is in the profile page. We'll see if that's kind of linked to it, but I'm really happy that this thing now should be, yeah, look at that. Now we have a second post as well, so it is working. It's connected to the database. This is actually a big win, and so yeah, I'm pretty happy with this, because usually we have these errors all the time, but it's a little bit harder sometimes to fix them, so I'm quite happy with this result. Let's go back and check out the profile before we try to fix this other issue. Okay, hey and hey world. Okay, it seems like there's some kind of a display issue with the image, so let's see if we can edit it. I've changed the picture here. Okay, it seems like it's recommended square image max 5 megabytes. I love that. So it's actually already giving me the settings of what's happening on the back end. So I think it might just be the fact that the images I'm trying to upload are kind of too heavy. So let's see if I grab one of those images, I reduce it. So I would go to tiny PNG for this. I'm going to see whether or not I can upload my profile picture here and whether it works. Okay, that is not the problem. Okay, so it seems like there's some storage issues or display issues with the images that I'm uploading. Please check it out. Click on that and see what it does. Okay, so I'm saying now, I'd like to see the posts that are in the database be shown on the feed. So now I saw it appear quickly, and it disappeared. So I'm actually going to say, hey, I saw the link, but it disappeared. Okay, so I tried to do this a couple times, it didn't work. So what I'm going to do is actually restore here. Okay, so it's not working, and I also noticed that on the profile page, it is uploading, we're saving it and all that, but basically, it's not showing properly, as you can see. So I'm basically going to say, okay, the images are not displaying correctly on the profile or the feed. What I'm going to do is take a screenshot of what's actually happening, so I can just feed it straight in. And I can do that by just clicking right here and uploading my screenshot. Okay, it seems like we still have this error here. Images still don't display correctly. Okay, let's just say that. Also, let's come in here and see what's actually being stored inside of our database, right? So it seems like the image URL, if we were to take this image URL, to copy the cell code, and to come here, and to put this here, can we actually see the image? Aha, you see? This is what is happening. So here I say, okay, it seems like the image URL is incorrect. When I post it in the browser, here's what it gives me. I basically put the status photo. This should help it understand what's actually happening. Now, there are a couple other strategies that I'm about to show you if this doesn't work. This is actually a perfect opportunity to teach you on how to error handle. Here it tells me that the storage buckets are not properly configured. Okay, cool. Well, let me know what you want me to do. We'll figure it out together. Let's go ahead and create a new image, because the ones I uploaded obviously did not upload properly. So here, I'll go ahead and grab that. Okay, the moment of truth. Hey, look at that. It actually works. This is not bad. Let's see if we can replicate that now. Open picture of me, share that post. I'm not actually seeing that yet. So we are progressing here, but also there's still some issues. So let's quickly go and check it out what's actually happening. So I'm gonna go ahead and now refresh here. Okay, now if I go ahead and grab these, go ahead and click here. There you go. So we see that now it is at least saving the images properly. And let's come back here. Okay, it's saving them properly inside the database. Now we have the posting mechanism that is broken again. So let's just say post creation is broken again. Please fix it without affecting other parts. So you see, slowly but surely, I am working through this. And don't worry, I'm not going to bore you. We're soon going to move to the next section. I just want to show you how I'm kind of going through these different things to see where the error is actually happening, right? So let's keep going here. Something's happening here because now we are happy with what's happening inside of the actual database, but it seems like there's some kind of an issue on the front end, meaning that here it is not showing the feed images. I really want to fix this first. If I'm not able to in just 1 or 2 more efforts, then we'll move on to the next section just so I can teach you how to do it. So here's another trick. You go here and you go inside this view, and in every website, when you open it up, you see it appeared, but then it disappeared. You right click, I can go to inspect, and I can kind of see what's happening here. You can click I don't know how to write code, but I do know one thing. If I go inside console here, click on that, I'm going to be able to start seeing the console logs, right? It seems like there's fetch errors on this page. So I can check out what's happening on the front end just through this. I can grab these and just say, hey, this is what's happening. Can you please check it out? So now we're going to basically close this back out. So I'm going to go back into Hostinger, and then I'm going to say, okay, here is what is happening. And I'm basically just going to dump that. I could just screenshot it really as well, but it's going to be a little bit better if I just grab what I actually just found inside that console. And now, let's see what it does, my friend. Moment of truth. Oh, it's working, my friend. Look at this. We finally got it working, and now it displays all of the images. Mamma mia, so amazing. Man, it feels great when you have these little breakthroughs and you just break these things. But again, there's several steps to troubleshooting. So now the last thing I'll fix is that I see here that basically the profile information is not properly on the post because it seems like my profile picture is not fitting properly. It seems like I'm unable to upload my pictures directly to my profile. Please fix this. Here is, and I'm again going to just take a little picture of this and kind of show it to them. So, hey AI, check this out. I have an issue here. Please help. Hey, come here. And let's see whether or not we can change this. Okay, so that didn't work. So what am I going to do next? Well, I would again come here, open to profiles, and then let's see. You see, okay, it seems like it's not syncing properly with this either. So what we would have to do is continue to do the same thing that I did for the posts for the profile. So as I told you, I was able to break it, yes, and we were able to solve lots of problems and progress really nicely. I would continue to actually build this thing out if I was just normally building this. But here, the great thing is we already kind of know what's happening. It's a problem that's happening between the database and the front end. And so the first thing I would do is basically say, hey, it seems like it's not syncing with the database. Can you make sure that the profile information is synced with the database? And then we would make sure that it's showing properly on the front, etc., etc. Once I have this app looking exactly like I want to, I have the profile, I can create new posts, and I have a feed that people can scroll through where all of the new posts show up here. The next thing I'm going to be doing is basically, I'm going to want to connect this to a domain, right? So how do we actually publish it? And how do we connect it to the custom domain? I'm glad you did not ask, my friend, because I'm going to show you. On the top right here, there's a button called Publish. So this may seem a little silly, but when you click on Publish, it's basically a one-click publish experience. And by default, it's going to be hosted by, guess who? Hostinger. So you're going to have a custom URL that's created just for you. And if you click on View Site, it's going to open it up in a new viewer. So now we can basically have the same experience where we can sign up, create an account. So I'm going to go ahead and create an account. Once I log in, never save this password, please. I can see everything inside of my Instagram. I can go here. I can also post, this is live. So now I can do a bunch of stuff. I can come, I can start liking things. I can leave comments. I can also choose to share it. But basically, once that's done, that's awesome. But we actually may want to connect it to a custom domain, right? So I may not want to have it on light gray butterfly 922107. This is just a domain that it's giving me so I can go out and test it. I might want to actually get a domain. And this is actually where Hostinger is pretty cool because you can actually get domains directly through Hostinger. That's one thing that I think is going to be super interesting. If you put hello mom123, you can actually go ahead and find and buy domains directly from within. Like hello mom123 is actually a hotline to get help from your mom. But it's available here and you can buy it directly here, and this makes it so much easier than like buying a domain separately and then connecting it. So I can just click on this and then I can just go to the next, and then I can just choose the billing mechanism. And check this out, it's incredibly cheap. It's basically giving me a huge discount to buy it for 2 years or 3 years, so it's really, really cool. So I'm not actually gonna buy a domain right now. I'm gonna cancel this, I'm gonna go back, but I do wanna talk about a couple of additional things here. So let's talk about pricing, then I wanna talk about the things I wish I had seen inside the platform that they could improve, and we're also gonna talk about some of the actual additional services they have. So let's go ahead and do that. So here, if you come down to the pricing page, you're gonna see that you get basically 100 messages for $19.99. I probably used about 40 messages to create what you saw throughout this presentation. So this is actually really good. They even have one for 50. You would only really have to pay about $10 a month to be able to generate 50 additional messages. It's also cancel at any time, so there's no problem with that. And what I love is that they do the hosting for you as well. So this is not just for the builder. Usually you would have to have the builder, then you would have to pay separately for additional services, including hosting and other things like that. But here what's cool is that there are things that are included. And this is where a platform like Hostinger kind of has an edge over some of the other AI coding platforms, where it's like, they basically have like payments. You can accept payments directly from the platform. You have free hosting for a month. You also have other things like free professional email. This, again, would have to be a separate plan. So I find this really interesting in general. And so there are a number of things that actually you get on top of what you get with other platforms. So price-wise, Hostinger Horizon seems to be quite legitimately cheaper than other platforms. In terms of performance, I'm really happy with what I've seen so far. There are a couple additional things that I would have liked to see, so let's talk about those now. Inside of the editor. So the first thing I would like to see is basically to be able to connect it to GitHub or to download my repository, meaning to download all the code that I've generated here. Another little detail would be basically to be able to, at the bottom here, have something that optimizes your prompts. That can sometimes be helpful. Honestly, I'm not sure that that has helped me so much in the past. Another thing that would have been good for me is to kind of like have it tell me the database structuring that it did. Now, one of the errors that happened is that it didn't sync very well with the tables. I had to kind of like troubleshoot that. So, you know, the integration with Supabase could be improved. But man, I'm like really happy with this. Remember that this is like the worst version of this platform that you'll see. So it's definitely going to be a part of my arsenal. Definitely something that I would recommend people check out. You can check out the link below. I believe that they're also giving me a discount for you guys, so you should check that out as well. The most exciting thing for me is that these AI platforms are just at the beginning. They will literally never get worse than they currently are now. So imagine what that looks like. And AI coding is actually a huge opportunity right now. You have non-technical people who are building agencies, creating products for other people, leveraging AI coding, who don't have any coding experience. And building apps and selling them is absolutely amazing. But guess what we also need to learn? How to actually get customers. So that's why I highly recommend that you check out this video. It's going to go through a step-by-step process that you can use to get and close customers. I hope you enjoyed this video. Subscribe. Let's go.
For a springtime spread that brings all the fun. Big Y. Nicely done.
Your future is at your fingertips. Take advantage of the flexibility and diversity of futures trading with Ninja Trading. Building them.
Gary, used car shopping can't hurt you.
What if I overpay?
Come out and I'll show you a better way.
Well, you said...
I know. I said nearly half of all used cars have been in an accident, but there's no reason to shop with fear.
Well, show me, Carfox.
Nope.
From a global standpoint.
This may be a little bit controversial. I don't completely disagree with what President Trump has done
in terms of imposing tariffs to get the ball rolling, because I think if you went to any country and said, look, we don't like the terms of trade, let's talk, the Cubans say go. So the only way you're going to get people to change the terms of trade is to put up a super tax. What I don't like is the chaos. We're in and we're out. We're out and we're in. Here's our tariffs and then there's our tariffs. We're taking it away, we're putting it back. That causes too much chaos. That's not my strategy. You know, President Trump loves chaos, but most people know that's where I would disagree.
If you were building your big short portfolio today, what's the one trade that looks almost inevitable to you that will pan out over the next 4 or 5 years?
I have no trade that I think will pan out within the next year.
Okay. What about 4 to 5?
4 to 5, I still think that most of the technology trades that people have, any of the I think we are still very, very
what the fuck?
So, between now and '89, it's going to be a bit of an adventure, but I think if you stick it out, you'll make a lot. What's going to happen within the next 6 months because of trade negotiations, I wouldn't have a clue. And I just would say you need to keep your risk low. I would not try and be. I don't think. Some people would argue that the market's come down a lot, so valuations go up. And well, of course, the market's going back. The problem is if you go into a global recession, all the earnings estimates are going to come along, so then it doesn't have so much. On the other hand, if most of the countries settle with the United States and then everything is fine, then it would have been a great time to buy. But I can't hedge.
How much risk are you putting on the table?
In my own personal portfolio, I have about 6%.
Okay.
I'm very low. What I have done is I've gone through my personal portfolio, any stocks where I said, I really love this. Why do I really own this?
Let's trim a little.
Is there any thesis free? Everything. Well, that was the first thing. And I took a lot of things to see. But like I said on the book, the problem with let's say, liquidating your portfolio if you want to go to work is you got to pay over 35% capital gains taxes. So, do I think the market's going to go down 35%? I mean, it could. I mean, if we have a global recession, it's not impossible, but it's a lot. So I'd rather just trim some nice. Sit on the sidelines and sit and wait until it's. And look, if things get better, if you miss the first 5% move, if all the trade stuff gets settled one way or another, it'll be a bull market again for years. So.
This is Buick. Exceptional by design.
Get 0.9% APR on these Buick models, plus current eligible.
I think it hit a 3-year low. Is that something that's concerning to you?
Let's do the doomsday scenario that some people like to do. So the doomsday scenario would be like the U.S. deficit is too big. People are not going to see U.S. bonds as the safety vehicles that they once were. So they're going to sell the U.S. bonds and have U.S. president dollars. Something else will replace the dollar as a reserve currency. And there goes the United States as a great empire. It's Armageddon, and cats and dogs are lying together. Whatever else happens. depending upon the country. But I think what people don't, and by the way, that thesis has only been around for 40 years. So I remember in the 90s, Pete Peterson, one of the founders, I think, of KKR, was talking about how the deficit's way too big and it's a disaster and God help us, et cetera. And here we are, 2025, we're all sitting. See, what I think people miss, and by the way, I can't talk, what happens short term to the dollar, what happens short term to the trading in bonds is not something that particularly interesting. So the fact that the dollar has sold off has, I think, got a lot more to do with, hedge fund repositioning, de-risking, looking for some safe havens. But long term, what I think most people don't recognize is that the financial system of planet Earth runs on treasuries. Banks, for example, lend to one another overnight in what's called the repo market. And the repo market is all trillions. And it's all in overnight treasuries. So, to make an argument that the dollar is going to lose its reserve status, I think you have to make an argument that there's going to be some sort of substitute for treasuries, especially short-term treasuries. And right now, there's no substitute for short-term treasuries. I mean, the banks are not going to park their money in Chinese bonds. They're not going to, there's no euro bond of any real significance. There's no alternative. So as long as there's no alternative, it's not something I particularly like, even though people like to talk about CNBC and paint doom and gloom. Listen, I predicted doom and gloom once. Once was enough. I'm not interested in predicting doom and gloom again unless I really, really seriously thought it was possible.
Yeah, that's good news to hear. You brought up AI. You said we're in the, potentially the first inning. There's been a lot of talk about bringing the supply chain back to America. We saw a lot of investment in AI from a lot of the banks having TSM included about bringing data centers and things of that nature to America. I want to get your thoughts on the idea of manufacturing and production happening here. Companies like Apple come to mind, and you think, how is it possible will we be able to afford that type of labor, that cheap labor, and to have the level of production long term? And for the short term, how does a company like that even combat in that environment? Or it's like, it's going to take 5 to 10 years to build that here to even get that up and running. What are your thoughts around that, bringing the supply chain back?
Well, I think some of the supply chain was already put back in the United States at this point. Because the supply chain, global supply chain was created over a 30-year period. Very efficient, very cheap, and it turns out very good. So some of the supply chain was actually coming back here to begin with. Because if you're, I mean, think of it this way: if you're the CEO of a company, some type of manufacturing company, and your supply chain didn't broke down during COVID, the board's not going to do anything because they don't like the COVID. But you only get one bite out of that. If something were to happen and you have a supply chain again, that's your job. You're out. So I think some of the supply chain is coming back. How much more of the supply chain? I mean, do I think we're going to make Apple phones in the United States? Probably not. I think maybe they move the whole thing to India. Do I think more manufacturing will come back to the United States? I do. What parts of manufacturing? I mean, let's draw up a list and we could discuss for a couple hours. I don't know. I don't know which parts of manufacturing are come back and which are not. I know that some will.
What are your top 3 favorite global macro indicators or technical indicators to know when you should be looking to enter a position?
Well, that's a small question.
You gotta ask what the people want to know.
I actually don't think one of the things that I've learned over the years is I don't think that there's only one way to do. Some people do. Some people think you just do some sort of discounted cash flow. I actually hate that.
Yeah,
But I don't think this is, what I do think is that there are 11 sectors in the S&P, and each sector has subsectors. And every one of those sectors or important subsectors has a mafia. And what I mean by that is the people who are the experts in the area, who traffic in this area almost exclusively or semi-exclusively. And that audience is usually composed of sell-side analysts, buy-side analysts, and certain portfolio managers who really have real expertise in the area. I know this for a fact because for a very long time I was chairman of the financial services. And each mafia determines two things. Number one, what are the terms of debate in terms of what should we look at to determine whether our sector is going to do well or do bad? And what are the valuation parameters? You know, so banks, for example, are valued at a price to tangible book value. Tech stocks are valued on some combination of PE, cash flow, EBITDA, discounted cash flow. It depends on the company. So I operate within the terms of each sector. I'm not going to convince people. It's very difficult to convince the mafia that they're completely wrong about how they should view their sector and how to value it. So, you know, take lending. The two most important variables are the yield curve, and more importantly, what are the credit? That's what I look at. That's what I care about. You know, other sectors, you know, it's a subscription-based model. In software, people care about how big is the potential TAM, the total addressable market, and what are the trends in terms of subscription. So each sector is different. I don't have, you know, one global variable that I look at unless I'm worried that it's going to be.
What are your thoughts on Bitcoin and other digital assets as far as long-term?
Another small question. Yes. Talk about the Yankees, the easy. I don't play Bitcoin. I'm not long it, and I'm not sure. And the reason why I'm not long it or short it is that no one has ever been able, to my satisfaction, been able to answer one very, very important question.
Okay, what's that?
Which is, why should I own it?
And store value.
Yes, I'm coming to that.
Yeah.
Don't jump the gun. I'm going to answer the question. So, the people who consider themselves experts in Bitcoin, if you were to ask them, why should I own Bitcoin? I think the answer you would most frequently get would be something like,
the all-new 2025 Equinox.
you know, over the last couple of decades, there's been way too much government debt. So the value of fiat currency, which anyone who doesn't know what that is, fiat currency is government-created currency, which is every currency other than Bitcoin. So fiat currency has been debased. And you want to own an asset that will do well as that debasement continues. And the problem with, let's say, shorting the dollar is currencies all trade relative to one another. You just can't go out and short the dollar. You have to go out, let's say, and short the dollar relative to the euro, the dollar relative to the yen. And they all stick according to this thesis. The dollar is probably a little bit better than the rest of it. So if you want to hedge against basically all of these currencies, buy Bitcoin or some other digital currency. As far as I can tell, that's the major thesis of Bitcoin. So my response to that is, okay, if that's the case, then how should Bitcoin act? In other words, if your thesis is right, then on days where people are worried about inflation, they're worried about the economy, NASDAQ is down huge, et cetera, Bitcoin should go up. And on days where everybody's rocking and rolling and risk is on and NVIDIA is up 5% and Microsoft is up 3% and every, risky tech stock you ever heard of or didn't hear of was up 7 or 8%, Bitcoin should be down. And that's not how it acts. It acts exactly opposite. In other words, on days when NASDAQ is up a lot, the correlation between NASDAQ and Bitcoin is very high. It tends to be about 60 to 70%. So the asset acts opposite to its own thesis. And I don't know what to do about it. I was talking to a friend of mine. I said, imagine if I had a thesis as to, I'll pick a name, capital credit. Let's say my thesis was, yield curve's going to steepen, particularly yield curve's going to steepen, credit quality is going to get better, Capital One's asset earnings are going to, growth rate is going to increase, and the stock should go up 20%. That's my thesis. And let's say the yield curve steepens, credit quality gets better, Capital One's earnings go up, and the stock goes down 20%. I'd say to myself, I don't know what I'm doing. I clearly don't understand this stock. So the problem I have with Bitcoin, again, is that it acts, as far as I can tell, opposite to the majority thesis is people who own it, propagate it. And I don't know what to make of it. That's why I don't know.
It's a lot. So
it was a big question.
Yankees and Mets. I have to answer.
Yankees and Mets, who finishes real quick?
I don't have an opinion. That's too hard.
All right, perfect. Here, so I want to go to this. So this global trade war kind of boils down to, us with China. And so China has put out a recent statement if anybody tries to negotiate with them with the tariffs and it's kind of like what we've done to other countries, right, to isolate China. Best case scenario, right? How do you think this plays out? Right, we know what can happen in the worst case scenario, but in the best case scenario, how do you see this playing out?
The percentage of U.S. GDP that comes from exports is 11%. That is the lowest number of just about any country in the world. We are the way to think about it is we are the most insular economy of any developed country. If you were to Google what percentage of China's GDP comes from exports, it would say 19%. But that's not really true, because China ships a lot of things to Vietnam, Cambodia, etc., which then makes its way into the West and can avoid some of the tariffs. My guess is that 30% of China's GDP comes from exports. If you look at Europe, any major country in Europe is over 30%, with the exception of Germany, which is over 40%. Canada is at 35%, and Mexico is at 35%. And of that 35, 25 points out of that 35 is just exports to the U.S. So in terms of just playing poker, who holds more cards? That's the United States. Because our GDP is less dependent on exports than anybody else. That's the first thing just to say. So then, what conclusions can we draw? I think the major conclusions that you can draw are, number one, the U.S. is in the best position to negotiate a deal with anyone. Number two, if everybody's rational, they will try and cut as good a deal as possible with the United States. However, to quote the great philosopher Reacher from the Amazon Prime show, Reacher, in any investigation, the details matter. And in any trade negotiation, the details matter. So let me just give you an example of why this is so much more complicated than just being rational, which why I can't handicap it. So The European Commission, before President Trump made that announcement a couple of weeks ago on that Wednesday, where he proposed all those tariffs, the European Commission, this is public information, came to the Trump administration and said, we will cut tariffs to zero. Right. And the Trump administration said that's not good enough. And the reason why that's not good enough is that there are all these other restrictions throughout Europe that make it difficult for the U.S. to get certain types of things. Campaign. As far as I can tell, the European Commission only has authority to negotiate tariffs. The rest, anything important to any particular country, that country has, like let's for example, the European Commission wanted to reduce all agricultural barriers on our stuff going into Europe. France has an effective veto of that because, and there's nothing the European Commission can do. So my suspicion is that Mexico and Canada will cut some sort of deal with the United States because only 25% of their GDP comes from exports to the U.S. but not a whole lot. I think the UK will cut a deal. I think a lot of Asian countries will cut a deal. Europe will be very much on a case-by-case basis, so it's very hard to tell. We are trying That's how I see
I have a question for you. In the big short, what's one story what's one thing they didn't get exactly right, but you kind of intended actually to that?
I asked the first question again.
Well, what's one thing they may have left out that you wish would have been included? Maybe in the analysis of trends or...
That's a good story. I thought went back to Sunday, I think it was Tuesday, AIG. And on Friday, I was at a conference meeting with potential investors. Basically, the world was in flow. The bonds were trading. My trader and partner Danny Moses was having an anxiety attack. I got a call from my partners and say, Danny's having an anxiety attack. We're getting out of here. And I told him, go to St. Patrick's Cathedral and sit on the steps. So I turned to the investors who I was in front of and said, listen, there's too much crap going on this world. I gotta go. And I left. And we were sitting on the steps of St. Patrick's. It was a gorgeous sight. I wish that had been. And which part did they get wrong?
Yes.
The movie pretty much got it all right. I mean, I was kind of that crazy back then, and that angry, and I thought that was captured really well. I tried certain things differently. I really captured that period of time.
Talking about the Big Short, during that time frame, was it a one aha moment where everything came together for you, where you was like,
Combination of both. So, we were short subprime paper, which is all these security loans that are securitized, subprime paper. There's a database. Basically, every single subprime, or every single securitization has a data dump every month. It comes out kind of like a 2-day period during the middle of the month, where every securitization will report every single credit statistic, 30-day, 60-day, 90-day delinquencies, real estate owned, losses, you name it, whatever possible credit statistic there is, we've got a report. It's the most granular consumer loan data in the world. And that was like the Bible. And every month we would look at, we would be very religious and we would read our Bible. And so every month the data kept getting a lot worse, just for a very short period of time in the spring of 07 until people got back to the Bible. But other than that, the data just kept getting worse and worse and worse until it was very clear that this is not good. And then I get.
Why would I use kayak to compare hundreds of travel sites at once? I like to do things myself. I can't touch everything else to do the job right.
Kayak. Search one and done.
Round up spare change and saving costs. You can use your cash out card.
Give me 17 cents on Bitcoin.
Brent. 90 Brent. 90 Brent. Get everything for every party on Amazon.
I guess the moment when I knew it was like, okay, this is it, in terms of my mortgage part, was it was August of 07, and my family and I were vacationing on the island of Nantucket. And we usually go there for 2 weeks. We had a little house. And in the second week, and the mortgage market was imploding in that time. And I remember one day in the second week, we were walking, and my wife turns to me and she said, "Stephen, where are all the men?" And I said, "Oh, they went back to New York to watch the end." That's when I knew it was over. But by the way, one thing that's never usually said, the financial crisis, as far as I was concerned, came August 2007. Now, the crisis itself actually took place in the fall of 2008. But by then, there was nothing any of these companies, anything else could do. Because they own this stuff.
Yeah. As you're talking, it feels like there's optimism. Obviously, what's going on with tariffs is causing uncertainty in the market now. But at some point, when there's some certainty around there, some clarity that things are made, the outlook for the economy, including the housing market, right? Because we've seen potential credit card debt getting higher. We already know what our international debt is. What are your outlook for the economy in the next?
I mean, look, if there was no tariff thing, I'd be very bullish. Credit quality, the banks will just report it. Credit quality was fine. Yeah. It was very stable. People like to point out to the increase in credit card debt. It's an absolute number. To me, that's not important. The thing to watch are the actual credit statistics. And as long as delinquencies are low, they're flattish, I don't find there's any cause for concern. If there was a problem start to emerge, you will see it in that data.
What is the percentage of delinquency that it would raise alarm for you?
Good question. That's a good question. I mean, it's not an absolute level. I would have to see a pretty steady increase month to month. That's when you start to see it. We're in April. So if May is worse than April, June is worse than May. This is what happened in 07. Every month it just got worse. Yeah. Then there's a problem. If it's just seasonal stuff and it's just bouncing around, it's nothing to worry about.
30-year treasuries haven't made a new high since 2020. What the hell is going on with that bond market? I've asked every investor and trader that I know. I don't want to be an alarmist, but do you think we'll have a turnaround at some point? And why do you think we haven't hit a high in almost 5 years?
Look, I think there's short-term trading and there's long-term. I think right now you're dealing with very short-term stuff where people are just de-risking. And so they're selling, they're probably, on the stock side, people are selling some stocks. Yeah. And on the bond side, they're selling long-term treasuries and they're probably, maybe they're buying short-term treasuries or something else. Tomorrow, if they announce some sort of deal, we would all reverse. Do I think there's a problem? Do I think China is going to sell all of its long-term treasuries? I mean, they could, but where they put their money. That's sort of the problem. You know, if you're big money, you know, the Chinese government, the Norwegian sovereign wealth fund, some enormous pension fund, and you need to you can only invest so much money in stocks when you're that big because it's not liquid enough. Yeah. You need to buy bonds. That's where big money parks its money. And if you're going to buy anything of duration, you're going to buy treasuries until there's an alternative. So what's happened to our treasuries of late, I think, is short-term de-risking what people are doing.
Okay.
Steve, thank you for your time. Great conversation. And,
Absolutely.
Yeah, your podcast is out now, right?
Yes, it's called the Eisman Playbook. A new one just dropped today, discussing why the German economy doesn't grow anymore.
That's a good one. Okay.
Yeah, from automotives.
It's based on it's an interview with a guy who wrote a book, the title of which is Kaput. One of the best titles I ever heard. I gotta get this guy on my show because anybody who comes with such a gutsy title deserves to be in it.
For sure.
They're warning.
Well, thank you again. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Amazing conversation with a legend, an icon.
That's a legend, man.
Yes.
I learned a lot, man.
For sure.
I think the most important thing I took from it was his level of optimism. He's called doomsday before, and he doesn't see a forecast of it in the near future. So
yeah,
that was good news.
Cautiously optimistic.
Yeah.
U.S. and China is going to be at
it for a
long time.
That's not encouraging.
Yeah, but that GDP, and we spoke about it the first day about the importance of the GDP and our level. That little tidbit he threw in, and like, yeah, it says 19, but they ship things off to other countries.
Mm-hmm. It's the nuance in the numbers. A lot of people say men lie, numbers don't. There's some line in numbers for sure.
I hadn't even thought of it like that, but that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. And I wonder how many other countries they're actually using to offset some of those tariffs. That would be interesting to find out. Not that we would, but it would be interesting.
Yeah.
So he's okay.
No, go ahead, Rashad.
No, go ahead.
No, I'll go.
I was going to talk about NVIDIA. I'll switch topics. So if you want to follow up with what he said.
Oh, okay. I think for everyone who's in love with the lore of The Big Short, that being hyper bullish is the new Big Short trend. I think he expressed that well tonight. Whether it's, well, I mean, he's not perfect point, but if you are in the Bitcoin community, you think that has value, stay long with that. If you think tech is going to work out, to stay bullish on that. I think the desire to catch the top of the market and all those factors that led to the world almost falling apart, they're not here now, despite how bad the tariff situation may be. So I would be remiss if I didn't bring that up. Because everyone wants to recreate that. Even with Michael Burry, like, his return was 500%. Not knocking that, because that's an amazing return, especially for that time. But it's a lot easier to get 500% of your portfolio to the upside holding for a 3 or 4 year period if you layer your investments and trades right.
Yeah. And you finally got an answer on your bond market.
Finally, I want the off the cuff at the bar answer though. Cool. I need the 08 answer. Losing the conference, yeah. So.
Okay, NVIDIA. Talk about the $5 billion hit. So he said that AI is still in the beginning stages. Some people think that AI is the bubble is about to pop. So NVIDIA, slowdown as far as the stock price is concerned for sure.
Yep.
What does this say?
It's never gonna go back to 95. And 80, I'm sorry, 89 is coming soon. I think going back to his de-risking part or conversation, I think some people are just taking risk off the table. But with NVIDIA, even in lieu of that $5 billion penalty I was telling Stock Club, same with Amazon. If you're hedging, like we talk about hedging a portfolio, we don't often talk about hedging our investment with other countries. I think NVIDIA and Amazon has done the best. It's almost impossible for them to lose. Not saying that NVIDIA is getting the hopper chips there intentionally, etc. Right? But if they are there, and then we're getting DeepSeek and Manus. Thank you for the invitation, but I will not be uploading any information on my IP or my internet browser anytime soon. How can you win if you have the two biggest countries vying for your interest? NVIDIA is like the pretty girl, the new pretty girl at the school that everybody wants their attention on. So the days of getting a 300-400% return in 1 year, I think may be over. But it's still one of the best companies on earth, and I think they find or hedge their position well enough in the market and amongst both countries that matter the most to make sure that they do well either way.
Yeah, they are primed to dominate. They have dominated. What we have seen here, I mean, almost from a year to date, is consolidation, which is very short out of the top. If you look at where it was in April, literally April 23rd of last year, it was at 95.44.
Yep.
And we hit 95.44 today. And so that in terms of, if you look at a long scale scope of this is consolidation, which usually means, all right, we're going to sell here, we're going to have some sellers, people are going to take profit, but there's usually an upside, especially when you're inside of a space that you are the dominant force. 87% of GPUs are coming from NVIDIA. They've already showed us the roadmap for it. If he's saying we're at the beginning stages of AI, which a lot of people think we are, then this is where you park the car at right here. And you just wait, and you get it at a good price, and you hold it long term. It's prime, and we'll see over the next few weeks what the first quarter earnings will be looking like.
Yeah.
But like I said, we were at GTC. We saw what the outlook looks like for the future. We saw what they're partnering with.
Yep.
And they're
FABULOUS every day like hello moto.
New Airhead salad bars. They start sour.
I mean, we've said it before, I'm gonna say it again. There's not a number two. There really isn't. And until that competitor is not a king, they've got free reign in terms of compute. So yeah, I love them here. I've loved them.
We hit 4,000 bottles.
I
did with my bed, 2 hands.
Yeah, I love them all the way up to 1100. So 95 is no brainer.
I hate to do the comparison thing, because I'm not hitting
done now.
NVIDIA's dominance right now is
later. I gotta go work out first. Let these get cold a little bit.
Like, you have people that are orbiting for that number one spot, but they have no close competitors. Our market cap is 2.3 trillion.
Depends, because people already put in their order, so I'll see what's left over. I'm making something for the house later.
5% profit for $1 trillion company. Most small businesses don't have 55%.
And that's an $800 billion decrease from where it was.
Yes. Return on equity 119%, just like if sliders were on 2K, it would be 105. Like, it would go over. Yeah.
Oh, here's your chocolate milk.
Amazing company.